Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. The doorbell chimed its cheerful tone, a stark contrast to the knot forming in my stomach. I smoothed my dress, took a deep breath, and opened the door with a smile plastered on my face. "Happy anniversary, darling," I exclaimed, my voice wavering slightly as I took in Lucas's stony expression. He stepped inside, his crisp suit a reminder of the successful businessman I'd married 5 years ago. "Sophia," he said, his voice flat, "we need to talk." My heart sank. This wasn't how I'd imagined our anniversary dinner starting. "Of course, honey. Is everything all right?" Lucas walked past me into the living room, not even glancing at the beautifully set table I'd prepared. I followed, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "I've been thinking about this for a while," he began, pulling an envelope from his jacket pocket. "I think it's time we went our separate ways." I froze, my mind struggling to process his words. "What are you talking about, Lucas?" He held out the envelope. "Divorce papers. I've already signed them." The room spun. I sank onto the couch, my legs no longer able to support me. "But why? I thought we were happy." Lucas sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "Were we, Sophia? When was the last time we really connected? You're always working, always focused on your career." I felt like I'd been slapped. "My career? I've been working hard to support us, to build a future together. A future where I'm always second place," he countered. "I need a wife who prioritizes our relationship, who's there for me." Anger flared within me. "I've always been there for you. I've supported your dreams, your ambitions. How dare you accuse me of neglecting you?" Lucas's face hardened. "This isn't up for debate, Sophia. I've made my decision." I stood up, my hands shaking. "Just like that? 5 years of marriage and you're throwing it away without even trying to work things out." "There's nothing to work out," he said coldly. "I found someone who understands me, who puts me first." The words hit me like a physical blow. You're seeing someone else?" Lucas had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable. "Her name is Brenda. We met at a conference last month." I laughed bitterly. "A month? You're ending our marriage over a woman you've known for a month." "It's not just about Brenda," Lucas insisted. "This has been building for a long time. I'm not happy, Sophia. I haven't been for a while." I struggled to keep my composure. "And you never thought to talk to me about it? To give us a chance to fix things?" Lucas shook his head. "It's too late for that. I'm sorry, Sophia, but this is how it has to be." I stared at him, this man I thought I knew so well. How had we come to this? "Get out," I whispered. "Sophia, get out." I shouted, my voice breaking. "Take your papers and leave. I can't look at you right now." Lucas hesitated for a moment, then placed the envelope on the coffee table. Without another word, he turned and walked out of the house, out of our marriage, out of my life. As the door closed behind him, I collapsed onto the couch, my mind reeling. Had my perfect anniversary dinner turned into this nightmare? I glanced at the envelope, its presence mocking me. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone. I needed my mother, needed her strength and wisdom now more than ever. "Mom," I said when she answered, my voice choked with tears. "Can you come over? I need you." As I waited for her to arrive, I stared at the divorce papers, wondering how I would ever move forward from this unexpected blow. I stared at my computer screen, my finger hovering over the mouse. One click and I'd know where Lucas was living now. Did I really want to do this? My mother's voice echoed in my head. "Sophia, honey, sometimes it's better not to know." But I couldn't resist. I clicked. My heart sank as I read the address. Chicago. He'd moved to Chicago without a word. I leaned back in my chair, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. The phone rang, startling me. It was my best friend, Rachel. "Hey, Soph. How are you holding up?" I sighed. "I just found out Lucas moved to Chicago. He didn't even tell me." "Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry. Want me to come over?" "No, it's okay. I think I need to process this on my own." After hanging up, I found myself scrolling through Lucas's social media. I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't help myself. And there it was. A photo of him with a stunning blonde, both of them beaming at the camera. The caption read, "New city, new life, new love. Blessed." I felt sick. How could he move on so quickly? Had our entire marriage meant nothing to him? My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Dinner tonight? I'm making your favorite. I smiled despite myself. At least I still had people who cared about me. At Mom's house that evening, I picked up my food, my appetite gone. Sophia, Mom said gently, you need to eat. Starving yourself won't change anything. I put down my fork. I found out today that Lucas moved to Chicago. He's already with someone new. Mom's eyes flashed with anger. That no good lying. Mom, please, I interrupted. I can't bear to hear it right now. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry, sweetie. I just hate seeing you hurt like this. I know. I don't understand how he could throw 5 years away so easily. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Sometimes people aren't who we think they are. But you're strong, Sophia. You'll get through this. I nodded, fighting back tears. I hope so. The next day at work, I struggled to focus. My boss, Janet, called me into her office. Sophia, is everything all right? You seem distracted lately. I hesitated, then decided to be honest. I'm going through a divorce. It's been difficult. Janet's expression softened. I'm so sorry to hear that. Is there anything I can do? Actually, I said, an idea forming. I was wondering if there might be any openings in our Chicago office. Janet looked surprised. As a matter of fact, we do need someone to head up a new project. Are you interested? My heart raced. Was I really considering this? I think I am. Well, let me get you the details. It would be a big move, but it could be a great opportunity. For you, as I left Janet's office, my mind was spinning. Could I really move to Chicago? Was I crazy for even considering it? I pulled out my phone and dialed my mother's number. Mom, I need your advice. I might have a chance to move to Chicago for work. There was a long pause. Sophia, are you sure about this? Is this really about work, or is it about Lucas? I swallowed hard. I don't know, but I feel like I need a change, a fresh start. Oh, honey. Just promise me you'll think long and hard about this before you make any decisions. I will, Mom, I promise. As I hung up, I felt a mix of excitement and terror. Was I making a huge mistake, or was this the beginning of a new chapter in my life? Only time would tell. I stood outside the convention center, my heart pounding. The banner above the entrance read, Women's Empowerment Seminar, Reclaim Your Power. Taking a deep breath, I stepped inside. The lobby buzzed with energy as women of all ages chatted and laughed. I felt out of place, unsure if I belonged. First time? A friendly voice asked. I turned to see a woman about my age, her smile warm and inviting. Is it that obvious? I laughed nervously. I'm Melissa, she said, extending her hand. Don't worry, we're all here to support each other. As we found seats in the auditorium, Melissa introduced me to her friends. They shared their stories, divorces, career setbacks, health scares. I was amazed by their resilience. The keynote speaker, Dr. Sarah Chun, took the stage. Her words resonated deeply. Ladies, your worth is not defined by a relationship, a job, or societal expectations. You are valuable simply because you exist. I felt tears welling up. How long had it been since I truly believed in my own worth? During the lunch break, I found myself opening up to Melissa and the others. I just don't know who I am without him, I confessed. Melissa squeezed my hand. That's why you're here. To rediscover yourself. The afternoon sessions focused on practical steps, setting boundaries, pursuing passions, building self-confidence. I scribbled notes furiously, feeling a spark of hope for the first time in weeks. As the seminar ended, we exchanged contact information. We meet for coffee every Thursday, Melissa said. You should join us. On the drive home, my mind raced with new possibilities. I didn't have to be defined by my failed marriage. I could create a new identity, one that was truly mine. The house felt different when I walked in. Less like a reminder of what I'd lost and more like a blank canvas. I noticed a box of Lucas's things I'd meant to donate. Without hesitation, I carried it to the car. It was time to let go. My phone buzzed. It was Lucas. Sophia, we need to talk about the house. His voice was cold, businesslike. I felt my newfound confidence waver. What about it? I think we should sell and split the proceeds. The house we dreamed of raising a family in, the garden I'd lovingly tended. Anger flared within me. "No," I said firmly. "I'm keeping the house. You're the one who walked away, remember?" Lucas sputtered, clearly caught off guard by my assertiveness, but my lawyer will be in touch. I interrupted, then hung up. My hands shook as I sat down. The phone, I'd never stood up to Lucas like that before. Felt empowering. I walked to the mirror, really looking at myself for the first time in weeks. The woman staring back wasn't broken or defeated. She was strong, resilient, and ready for whatever came next. My phone buzzed again. A text from Melissa. "How are you feeling after today?" I smiled as I typed my reply. Like I'm finally waking up. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind was too full of ideas, plans, dreams I'd put aside for too long. I got up and started writing, pouring out my thoughts onto paper. As the sun rose, I looked at the pages spread before me. It wasn't just a journal entry. It was the outline for a book. A book about rediscovering yourself after loss. About the strength women find in each other. I felt a thrill of excitement. This was it. This was how I would turn my pain into purpose. My phone alarm chimed, reminding me of work. But as I got ready, I realized something had shifted. I wasn't just going through the motions anymore. I had a mission, a goal beyond just surviving each day. As I left for the office, I paused in the doorway, looking back at the house. "Watch out, world," I whispered. "Sophia 2.0 is coming." I was knee-deep in boxes, sorting through years of memories when I stumbled upon it. A dusty photo album I didn't recognize. Curious, I opened it, and my world tilted on its axis. There, staring back at me, was a gangly, acne-ridden teenager with braces and thick glasses. It took me a moment to realize I was looking at Lucas's high school yearbook photo. I sank to the floor, my mind reeling. This awkward boy bore little resemblance to the polished, handsome man I'd married. How had I never seen this before? As I flipped through the pages, a note fell out. It was from Lucas's mother, congratulating him on his transformation and praising the wonders of modern cosmetic procedures. My hands shook as I read the list. Rhinoplasty, chin implant, laser skin resurfacing, dental veneers. The man I'd fallen in love with was quite literally manufactured. I felt a hysterical laugh bubble up in my throat. All those times Lucas had criticized my appearance, insisted I should take better care of myself. The hypocrisy was staggering. My phone buzzed. It was Melissa from the empowerment seminar. "Coffee tomorrow?" I hesitated, then typed back. "Can't, something's come up." I couldn't share this with anyone yet. I needed time to process, to figure out what to do with this information. As I continued sorting through our belongings, every photo of Lucas now seemed like a lie. How much of our relationship had been built on falsehoods? My mother called, her voice concerned. "Sophia, are you all right? You've been so quiet lately." I swallowed hard. "I'm fine, Mom, just processing some things. You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" I glanced at the yearbook photo. "I know, Mom. I just need some time." After hanging up, I found myself staring, looking at my reflection in the mirror. Unlike Lucas, every line, every imperfection was earned. I'd never felt the need to dramatically alter my appearance. Was that strength or complacency? A notification popped up on my phone. Lucas had posted another photo with his new girlfriend, both of them looking impossibly perfect. I zoomed in on her face, searching for signs of work. Was she too hiding a completely different past self? Anger surged through me. Not just at Lucas, but at a world that valued artificial beauty over genuine character. I thought of all the women at the empowerment seminar, each beautiful in their own unique way. They hadn't needed to remake themselves to find strength and confidence. I picked up the yearbook photo again, an idea forming. Lucas had hidden this part of himself, ashamed of who he used to be. But what if everyone knew? What if his carefully crafted image came crumbling down? My finger hovered over the share button on my phone. It would be so easy to post this, to expose him for the fraud he was. But something held me back. Was revenge really the answer, or would it just drag me down to his level? I set the phone down, my mind racing. There had to be a way to use this information that didn't compromise my own integrity. A way to reclaim my power without stooping to petty revenge. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the room, I made a decision. I wouldn't let Lucas's lies define me any longer. I would use this revelation as fuel for my own transformation, not of my appearance but of my spirit. I picked up my laptop and opened a new document. The words flowed easily. Chapter 1. The Man Behind the Mask. My book was taking shape, evolving from a simple story of recovery to an expose on the pressures of perfection in modern society. Lucas's secret would serve a greater purpose. As I typed, I felt a weight lifting. I was no longer a victim of deception but an author of my own story. And it was time to write a new chapter. One where I emerged stronger, wiser, and unapologetically myself. I sat at my desk, staring at the blinking cursor on my laptop screen. The first few chapters of my book were flowing well, but now I faced a dilemma. How much of Lucas's secret should I reveal? My phone buzzed, a text from Melissa. Missed you at coffee. Everything okay? I sighed, torn between my newfound friendships and my burning desire for revenge or justice. I wasn't even sure anymore. As I pondered my response, an email notification popped up from Lucas. My heart raced as I clicked it open. Sophia, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to let you know that Brenda and I are expecting. I thought you should hear it from me first. Best, Lucas. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. Not from sadness but from a white-hot rage I'd never experienced before. How dare he? How dare he flaunt his new life, his new love, his new family to be? Before I could think twice, I was dialing his number. He answered on the third ring. Sophia, is everything all right? I laughed bitterly. All right. You sent me a cold email about your new baby and asked if everything's all right. I thought you'd want to know. He stammered. Know what, Lucas? That you've moved on. That you're living your perfect life with your perfect new wife. I paused, my voice lowering dangerously. Does she know about your past? About the real you? There was a long silence. When Lucas spoke again, his voice was tight with tension. What are you talking about? I found your high school yearbook, Lucas. I know everything, the surgeries, the transformations. Does Brenda know she's married to a completely different man than the one in those old photos? I could hear his sharp intake of breath. Sophia, please, that's private. Private. I scoffed. Like our marriage was private before you decided to throw it away? What do you want? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The question caught me off guard. What did I want? Revenge? To hurt him as he'd hurt me? Or something more? I want the truth, Lucas. I want you to face who you really are. I hung up, my hands shaking. The adrenaline coursing through my veins made me feel alive, powerful. But as the minutes ticked by, doubt began to creep in. Had I gone too far? My mother's words echoed in my head. Two wrongs don't make a right. I looked at my laptop screen at the words I'd written. Exposing Lucas's secrets. Was this really the story I wanted to tell? Was this the person I wanted to be? As if on cue, my phone rang. It was my literary agent, excited about the sample chapters I'd sent her. Sophia, this is powerful stuff, but I have to ask. Are you prepared for the potential backlash? Exposing someone like this, even if it's true, could have serious consequences. Her words hit me like a bucket of cold water. I'd been so focused on my pain, on getting even, that I hadn't considered the bigger picture. I need to think about it, I said, my mind racing. After hanging up, I paced my living room, weighing my options. I could publish the book, expose Lucas for who he really was, and possibly find success as an author. But at what cost? To my integrity? To my own healing? Or I could take the high road. Focus on my own growth and transformation rather than tearing Lucas down. But would that mean he'd won? That he'd get away with his deception? As the sun set, casting long shadows across the room, I made my decision. I sat down at my laptop and opened a new document. The words flowed easily. Chapter 1, Rising from the Ashes. A journey of self-discovery and forgiveness. I realized then that my true revenge wouldn't come from exposing Lucas, but from living my best life despite what he'd done. My story wasn't about him anymore. It was about me, about all the women who'd faced betrayal and come out stronger. As I typed, I felt a weight lifting. I was no longer a victim seeking vengeance but a survivor sharing her wisdom. And that, I realized, was the most powerful story I could tell. I smoothed my dress, taking a deep breath as I stepped into the crowded restaurant. This was it, the moment I'd been waiting for. Dreading and anticipating in equal measure, Lucas had insisted on meeting to discuss the final details of our divorce. I'd agreed, thinking it would bring closure. What I hadn't expected was the text I received just before leaving home. Hope you don't mind, but Brenda will be joining us. My stomach churned as I spotted them at a corner table. Lucas impeccably dressed as always, and beside him, a stunningly beautiful blonde Brenda. As I approached, Lucas stood, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Sophia, thank you for coming. This is Brenda. I forced a smile, extending my hand. Nice to meet you, Brenda. As she turned to face me, I felt the world tilt on its axis. Those eyes, that nose, I knew that face, but not as it appeared now. Sophia. Brenda's voice was hesitant. Is that really you? Recognition hit me like a thunderbolt. Brenda Thompson from Westview High. Lucas looked between us, confusion etched on his face. You two know each other? I couldn't help the laugh that bubbled up. Oh, we more than know each other, don't we, Brenda? We were in the same graduating class. Brenda's perfectly made-up face paled. Ah, yes, we were. Lucas's brow furrowed. But that's impossible. Brenda's younger than us. I raised an eyebrow, looking directly at Brenda. Is she, or has she just had some work done? The tension at the table was palpable. Lucas turned to Brenda, his voice low. What is she talking about? Brenda's eyes darted between us, panic evident. It's not, I felt a surge of something. Not quite satisfaction, but a strange sense of vindication. It's amazing what modern medicine can do, isn't it, Lucas? You should know all about that. Lucas's head snapped towards me, his eyes wide with shock. What? I leaned forward, my voice steady. I found your yearbook, Lucas. I know all about your transformation. Seems you and Brenda have more in common than I thought. The color drained from Lucas's face. He turned to Brenda, who was now staring at the table, tears in her eyes. Is this true? He demanded. Have you been lying about your age? About everything. Brenda's silence was answer enough. I stood, suddenly feeling suffocated by the tension. I think I'll leave you two to sort this out. Seems you have a lot to discuss. As I turned to leave, Lucas grabbed my arm. Sophia, wait. I'm sorry for everything. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing, no anger, no pain, just a profound sense of relief. I'm not the one you need to apologize to, Lucas, I said softly, glancing at Brenda. Good luck to both of you. You're going to need it. As I walked out of the restaurant, my phone buzzed. It was my literary agent. Great news, Sophia. We've got a publisher interested in your book. They want to meet next week. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. The irony wasn't lost on me. My journey of healing, sparked by Lucas's betrayal, was about to become a published story. As I hailed a cab, I caught my reflection in a store window. The woman looking back at me wasn't broken or bitter. She was strong, resilient, and ready for whatever came next. I realized then that this moment, this revelation, wasn't the climax of my story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. One where I was the author, the protagonist, and the hero of my own life. As the cab pulled away from the curb, I left behind the ghosts of my past and drove towards a future filled with possibilities. The best revenge, I realized, wasn't exposing Lucas and Brenda. It was living my best life unapologetically and authentically. And that journey was just beginning. My hands trembled as I stared at the email draft on my screen. Attached were 2 sets of photos. Lucas and Brenda before and after their transformations. My finger hovered over the send button. A war raging inside me. Was this really who I wanted to be? A woman so consumed by revenge that she'd stoop to this level? My phone buzzed. A message from my literary agent. Publishers are fighting over your book. This could be huge, Sophia. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. My story of healing and self-discovery was about to change lives. Did I really want to taint that with this petty act of revenge? Just then, another email notification popped up from Lucas. The subject line made my blood run cold. Legal action. Heart pounding, I opened it. Lucas's words were cold and threatening. He'd somehow found out about my book and was demanding I cease publication immediately, claiming it would damage his reputation. Anger surged through me. How dare he try to silence me, to rob me of this opportunity I'd worked so hard for. Without thinking, I hit send on the email with the photos. Instant regret washed over me. What had I done? My phone rang. It was my mother. Sophia. Her voice was filled with concern. Are you all right? I just got the strangest call from Lucas. I felt my world spinning. What did he say? He was ranting about some photos you sent him. Sophia, what's going on? I couldn't hold back anymore. Everything came pouring out. The yearbook discovery, the confrontation at the restaurant, the threatening email, and now this impulsive act of revenge. Mom listened patiently, then sighed. Oh honey, I understand why you did it. But is this really the person you want to be? Her words hit me hard. I thought of the women from the empowerment seminar, of the readers who would find hope in my book. I'd let them all down. I've made a terrible mistake, I whispered. It's not too late to fix it, she said gently. You're stronger than this, Sophia. You don't need to stoop to their level to prove your worth. As we talked, my phone beeped incessantly. Messages from Lucas, from Brenda, from my agent. The world was closing in. After hanging up with Mom, I took a deep breath and started damage control. I called my agent, explaining the situation and asking for advice on handling Lucas's legal threats. Then, steeling myself, I called Lucas. His voice was cold when he answered. Come to gloat, Sophia? No, I said firmly. I'm calling to apologize. What I did was wrong and I'm sorry. There was a long pause. Why? He finally asked, his voice softer. Because I'm better than this. I replied, and because hurting you won't heal me. We talked for a long time. Really talked for the first time since our marriage fell apart. There were tears, accusations, and finally a fragile understanding. I won't pursue legal action, Lucas said eventually. Your story deserves to be told, Sophia. Just be kind. As I hung up, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I'd faced my darkest impulses and chosen a higher path. My phone buzzed again. A message from Brenda. Can we talk? I stared at those 3 words, realizing this was a crossroads. I could ignore her, wash my hands of this whole mess, or I could face it head-on with grace and dignity. Taking a deep breath, I typed my reply. Yes, let's meet. As I hit send, I felt a surge of strength. Whatever came next, I was ready. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. One where I reclaimed my power, not through revenge, but through forgiveness and self-love. The real unveiling wasn't about exposing Lucas and Brenda's secrets. It was about revealing my own strength, resilience, and capacity for growth. And that, I realized, was the most powerful story of all. The day of my book launch arrived. A crisp autumn morning filled with promise. As I stood backstage at the local bookstore waiting to be introduced, I caught a glimpse of my reflection. The woman staring back at me was a far cry from the broken shell I'd been just months ago. My heart raced as I heard the host announce my name. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out to face the crowd. The room was packed, familiar faces mixed with strangers. In the front row sat my mother, beaming with pride, and there in the back stood Lucas and Brenda. Our eyes met, and for a moment I felt a flicker of the old pain, but it passed quickly, replaced by a sense of calm. I smiled, nodding slightly in acknowledgement as I began to speak, sharing my journey of heartbreak and healing. I saw tears in many eyes, but it was the strength, the recognition, the hope I saw that truly moved me. These women, men young and old, saw themselves in my story. Life doesn't always go as planned, I said, my voice strong and clear. Sometimes the very thing that breaks us becomes the foundation for something beautiful. My journey wasn't about getting revenge or proving my worth to someone else. It was about rediscovering my own value, my own strength. I paused, looking directly at Lucas and Brenda. And sometimes forgiveness is the most powerful act of all. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving ourselves for the mistakes we've made along the way. As I finished speaking, the room erupted in applause. Women lined up to have their books signed, many sharing their own stories of resilience. Each interaction reinforced why I'd chosen this path of honesty and growth over bitterness and revenge. Hours later, as the crowd thinned, I saw Lucas and Brenda approach. My stomach tightened, but I stood my ground. Sophia, Lucas said, his voice soft. Your book, your words, they were incredible. Brenda nodded, tears in her eyes. Her eyes, thank you for not exposing us, for choosing kindness when you had every right to be angry. I looked at them both, this couple built on secrets and transformations, but I saw something else too. 2 people struggling with their own insecurities just like everyone else. We all have our stories, I said gently. The important thing is that we learn from them, grow from them. As they walked away, I felt the last vestiges of anger and hurt dissolve. I was free, truly free. My mother approached, wrapping me in a warm embrace. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart," she whispered. That night, as I sat on my porch watching the sunset, I reflected on the journey that had brought me here. The pain of betrayal, the temptation of revenge, the struggle to find myself again. It had all led to this moment of peace. My phone buzzed with a message from my agent. "You're on the bestseller list." I smiled but realized the success of the book wasn't what mattered most. What mattered was the lives it would touch, the women it would inspire to find their own strength. As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the hardships that had shaped me, for the love that had sustained me, and for the strength I'd found within myself. This wasn't just the end of a chapter. It was the beginning of a whole new story. One where I was the author, the hero, and the master of my own destiny. I took a deep breath of the cool evening air, feeling alive with possibilities. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I was ready to face them, not as the woman I once was, desperate for approval and afraid of being alone, but as the woman I'd become, strong, resilient, and unapologetically myself. As I stood to go inside, I whispered a quiet thank you to the universe for the broken heart that had led to this healed soul, for the painful ending that had become a beautiful beginning, and most of all, for the realization that the best revenge, the sweetest victory, was simply living my best life.